Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the south-afrifur podcast. We're very sorry for the slight delay in the live broadcast for those of you who are currently listening on furry.fm. This evening we have Chipflake joining us. Hello, Chipflake.
Hi.
And obviously our wonderful co-host in Scratch.
Wonderful, perhaps.
You're wonderful. You have the most magnificent of beards.
Yeah, it's up and down. I've been trimming it recently, trying to keep it short-ish.
Mm-hmm. And so today we're going to be talking about YouTube community, some senses like, characters that we sort of put out there, the, I guess, slice of life YouTubing in many senses, the whole animation gig and how that kind of works. Chipflake themselves have actually spoken about it fairly often, or not fairly often, but recently, if not a week ago. Okay, cool. We're perfect, apparently. Great stuff. Yeah.
I said away.
Away. And yeah, so Chipflake, if you could maybe just introduce yourself a little bit to those who are listening. Have a fair group.
Yeah,
Who
of
are you and why
course.
are you here?
I don't know. I don't know how I got here. Somebody please help me. Anyway, yeah. I'm Chipflake. You could call me Chip if you want to. I have a YouTube channel. That's like my whole thing. With it, it's about like this cat, animated cat that kind of like. I guess I like talk about like my life and my opinions on things through this character, and draw little animations and illustrations to go along with it.
All right, and you've been doing this for now almost 2 years. 2 years on the dot, almost. More than?
Yes, that's a bit embarrassing, but I don't remember exactly when I started. I think sometime in 2017, July, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have I didn't have an exact date myself, but I'm assuming it's in September. Yes?
It might be.
No, like as in our start date, Ivik.
Oh.
Is it in September?
September the 21st,
Ah, okay.
Ooh,
2014.
Damn.
dang.
Almost
I
5
think.
years, my word.
Wow.
Yeah, we should do a thing, I think. But do we really want to? All right, and then beyond that, you have two other channels that I would like to get into at some point. Cats of the Underworld and Schnitzelflake.
Yes.
But for now, we talk about this and you and your particular, I guess, gig here.
Sure.
One of the first questions that I do kind of want to get into is why YouTube? And yeah, just firstly, why YouTube?
Oof. I mean, like, YouTube was one of the first like websites that I kind of came across when I started using the internet when I was like 10 years old. And it's just kind of been like a huge part of my life since then. And eventually I figured out how to make my own videos, and I just thought it was like such a cool thing. And I've honestly never had as much fun creating something like drawing or writing or anything. Nothing has been as fun as making videos. So I knew like this is something I want to do like more, you know.
Okay. We actually already have our first question. Audience here from Jaren, who asks, or says first and then asks, the cat is cute, and you very often improve it again. Have you had? Is your back better?
Kind of. I'll have to update you on that in a few weeks after I try to learn how to sit on my chair properly.
Yeah, but I mean, and obviously, as a independent animator doing pretty much this as your daytime job, I mean, obviously you've spoken about the idea of getting hurt, in, I guess, pushing yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, have you? Firstly, I mean, are you like sort of, for people who are out there, are there ways to help yourself recover from that? Like taking hot baths or, what do you do to sort of help
Large amounts
yourself?
of drugs.
All the drugs. Every single one of them.
Definitely. I'm honestly not the best to ask about this sort of thing. Definitely freaking getting up and walking around. Like, the moment you realize you're having pain, you freaking get up, go have a walk, do a stretch, maybe like lie down to like make your back go back in the correct shape, I guess. That sort of thing.
I think, like, what's the word? Oddly enough, I've had similar issues. It's actually just lower back, particularly because your lumbar area rolls forward because of the seated position.
Yeah.
And that just causes a whole bunch of lower back arching. And then the best way to fix that is actually to be active. You're right.
Yeah, definitely.
Just ride a bike, do something for like 3 hours. I guess.
I used to.
And
used to get that during like the exams for our engineering graphical drawing, like technical drawing. Yeah, if you just sit hunched over a slanted desk for hours, just like drawing at, it essentially just feels like you want to like snap your back in half all the way backwards just so you can get that feeling back in your spine.
Yep.
Ugh.
That's so accurate.
And I mean, with a large group of people, I mean, like, it's for us, for instance, a bit easier at times to, I guess, monitor comments and things like that are coming in. And obviously there are moderators. Thank you, moderators, for just making sure that any commentary and things like that in text would be removed, especially if it was inappropriate. With respect to that, I mean, and with your extremely large following, like, obviously I'm going to assume that there have been people who have been like that. How do you manage that kind of interaction?
Are we talking about like comments on videos?
Yeah, comments on videos, or people who've somehow managed to track you as person down. Either or.
I mean, YouTube has like pretty good filters, and like, I don't really like to filter my messages because often the system, like, it can't sense like context and stuff like that, so people who are leaving like actually nice comments get filtered out just because there was like a swear word in there. But personally, I would rather just clear out all of those bad things. To me, it's worth it. I mean, I don't know.
Yep. We have two questions here. The first one from Jaren again. They say, I see in your videos you like to sit like L from Death Note. Is that an over-exaggeration, or do you really sort of sit like that?
Actually, I used to definitely sit like that, but since I removed the armrests from my chair, I can like move my legs a bit more. So I sort of sit like that. Right now I'm sitting with one knee up to my chest and the other one like down on the chair. So I'm getting better, but yeah, it was not an exaggeration.
Okay, and another question here from Galax, who asks, as far as they know, you live in Germany. How good is your German, in your opinion, and could you say something in German?
Oof. Well, I'm at the point where I can understand like almost anything that's like pretty general. Like in my recent video, I talked about how I went to the doctor and I didn't really understand him because he used a lot of words that I wasn't familiar with, like medical terms and stuff. But I can like watch TV or like talk to my friends and stuff and understand them. As for talking, that's a different that's a different thing. That takes a lot more skill, because you can kind of like, when you're reading or like listening to somebody speaking or writing German, you can like pick out words and you're like, oh, I know what that means. But when you're speaking it, you have to like try to search for the word that you need in your head, and it's a lot harder. Also, the thing with German, you might know, is that it has very complex grammar, which leads to me making a lot of mistakes.
Referring to, what's the word, neutral objects as female or male.
Yeah, definitely. Articles is a huge thing that I mess up a lot, which means it's kind of embarrassing for me to speak German, so I don't really like to do it that much.
Okay. Well, we're not going to force you, although...
What?
Like
you eat a duck?
Ich essen, and then like Duolingo yells at me for it.
Oh, I see.
Like I keep
Duolingo is really awesome.
Yeah, it is, but I still suck at conjugating verbs in German. It's like,
oh, have you also started?
Yeah, I have. I haven't done it in quite some time, but I remember some of it.
I've also, ich est. No, is it est? Double S.
Yeah.
No, I'm
confused.
Wrong. No, we're just talking about like introduction to German. We can't do it.
Nice.
Alhoewel ons Afrikaans kan praten. Yeah. So I just said, although we speak Afrikaans, or can speak it. All right, so Jessica Colley is asking, or at least they've been watching your channel for about a year now, and want to know if the YouTube demonetization has affected your channel and what you've done to mitigate it.
So I've been pretty lucky with that whole thing. YouTube seems to kind of respect that I'm a pretty family-friendly channel and has kind of left me alone for the most part. The first video that... Actually, the first video that got demonetized from me was my video from like 2 years ago called Food is Gross, where I talk about like being a picky eater and stuff like that. I don't really know why that got demonetized. Another one was my most popular video, how I got Google banned from my school, which is about how I searched a naughty word on the school computers and got Google blocked. But in those cases, I just repealed you can like tell them like, I don't think this should be demonetized, and they'll like look at your thing and like what's the words that just gone from my head?
Yeah, they'll read.
I guess would be fine as well.
But something I've noticed while doing this is that there are certain words that YouTube just doesn't like. Like they don't like the word hate, I've noticed. Because I've exactly. I've made several videos that I wanted to call hate. Like Things I Hate is kind of like a series on my channel. But I can't call it that in the title. I call it that in the thumbnail, but I can't call it that in the title. So I call it Things I Can't Stand, which means kind of the same thing. I don't know, it's weird.
I strongly disagree with.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard because there's no word as powerful as hate. Yeah, that people like connect with that much. But yeah, I've been really lucky with the whole demonetization thing, I have to say. I feel really bad for the people who've got it a lot worse than me.
But I mean, and obviously it's one would need to actually speak to YouTube, but then again, it's not even YouTube that actually does this anymore. The algorithm just sorts it out itself. So if enough people say, for instance, look at the words hate speech, putting those two together, hate would obviously be one of them that's part of a tag, and then it just filters upwards to infinity.
Yeah.
All right, and so with this kind of work, and I mean, we kind of established that you have a very, very long, I guess, YouTube life ahead of you. For some, it's, I don't know, like I think, like, what's the word? From 18 all the way to around about 26 is like a good YouTube life. It's weird. I mean, we're talking about longevity and things like that, and then there's Rhett and Link with with Good Mythical Morning as two 40-odd-year-old people sitting eating very, very strange things and not being dad-like at all.
Yeah, I think the age thing mostly comes from just like the desire to do this kind of thing. I think maybe when you start to get a bit older, you kind of want to like not kind of be in the public eye and kind of want to start relaxing a bit. I think maybe that's why there's less like older people on YouTube and more younger.
So, I mean, moving into that, like inspirations to before you started like doing your own work and things like that. Who were the inspirations moving into like YouTube and starting what you wanted to start?
Are we talking my current channel or just YouTube in general?
Both, I guess. Why not?
Okay, well, when I first discovered YouTube, the thing that inspired me to start making videos of my own was, well, it was two things really. I was really into Pokemon, and there was this whole genre on at the time where people would make their own kind of Pokemon. I guess they would take the sprites, like the pixel art from the games, and like splice them together into like a new Pokemon, and they would like make stories about that. So that has inspired me initially. Yeah.
That Pokemon Creator app, what's it? Poke Edit, isn't it? Now, or is it Pokemon Fusion?
No. It's you like literally like download pictures of the characters from the games, and you take it into like MS Paint was like what everyone used back in the day, and like use the select tool and take like the leg from like an Absol and put it onto an Umbreon, for example.
Okay, because I in the live chat, I'm not sure to the Discord as well. Pokemon Fusion is a thing that I used to play with as a kid.
Yeah.
As a 20-odd-year-old.
But yeah, it's basically this, but just doing it yourself without a program or anything. Just MS Paint.
I've currently got Rapidash and Nidoran and got Rapidoran.
Epic.
But so with that, obviously, sort of getting into YouTube in that kind of way, how does one deal with the idea that firstly you're becoming like your channel is growing? How sort of scary is that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends from person to person, but personally for me, like obviously it's like exciting. It's like, whoa, I'm finally getting somewhere with it. And when it's tied to a job, obviously it's even more exciting because you could live off it and stuff like that. But I think the most scary thing for me was thinking of how people would treat me differently. I was kind of in this like mindset that I felt like the people who I had kind of made friends with when I was just starting out my channel, and they had like the same kind of size channel as me, and we became friends because of that. I felt like those people would stop wanting to talk to me, and the people who and then other people who were like bigger channels than me would like not be interested in me or only want to talk to me because of my like view count and stuff. So that's mostly the scariest thing about it for me.
Because I just for those of you who are putting questions, I'll get to them now. I just want to sort of finish a thought here, because like what was it that entire idea of like being a bigger or a smaller channel, you kind of spoke about it in I think it was probably your most recent video, going to VidCon.
Yeah, the one before my recent one, the Internet Friends one.
Yeah. And because I mean that's sort of the thing. It's and I'm assuming that sort of like creates a form of anxiety in the what, I'm not big enough to be able to speak to these people.
Yeah.
I know that I definitely struggle with that. Like I either have squee fever, which pretty much is just me sort of sitting there going like, okay, we're going to a call for like 10 minutes before we actually have to go live. This is my first interaction talking to them live, and I sort of sit there, and Scratch can actually attest to this.
You fangirl the hell out of it.
I gush like but yeah, so it's very interesting to sort of get there.
Mhm.
But so I mean, like, have you ever felt that sometimes? I mean, I know that at least I've seen that you also run sort of a semi podcast thing as well. With I do want to talk about that actually.
Yeah.
But like, so with that, do you intend to at some point, like, you know, have other people on the show itself? Have you had other people on the show? I didn't necessarily look at that channel. I was only looking at your main one.
Yeah, so the podcast channel is very early days right now. It's kind of just me and my friend Andrew. But we do definitely have plans to get more people onto the show first, but we do want to kind of set it up as like just us for a couple episodes, and then we're going to start to introduce people, get people on like this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Do you intend to animate for that as well?
A
ship too far.
Well, I kind of already have. I've basically animated this. I guess you'll call it like an idle animation where you have our two characters on the screen and they kind of like move a little bit, like their heads like bob up and down a little bit, just to kind of give it more life. I guess so. You can it's like the same looping animation throughout the whole thing, but it's kind of like implying like the two characters are talking to each other, kind of thing.
I've always wanted to do that for our thing, but yeah, since we have like infrequent guests on, it might be difficult to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I guess you could do lines that light up for that person's picture, and then ours just bob.
Something like that.
maybe the Jan. I'm not sure. But yeah, so Jaren is asking or saying, I wonder if Chip thinks German grocery stores are a bit rushed. Putting vegetables last on the line gives more time to pack your food.
If you're talking about like, I don't know. I mean, yes, basically. Especially like the stores like Aldi and Lidl. You go in and you put your stuff on the conveyor belt thingy. The cashier like beeps your items as fast as lightning, compared to the UK where they just like do it really slowly and you have time to put your stuff in your bags. It's really interesting because in Germany you take like your shopping cart and you like go do your shopping, and then you put your stuff on the conveyor belt thingy, you get them beeped, and then you put them back in the cart and then you bag them. Whereas in the UK you bag them like as they're coming down the conveyor belt thingy.
That's what we do here as well. Yeah. It's
the people at the till can even be asked to bag the things for you. I
mean, the thing is that it's generally like squishy stuff all together in one area, so that all of them can sort of gently squish against one another, and then don't put milk in with your bread in the same bag, kind of stuff. Like those are things that like one should be able to take into account, especially when you've got baggers. Bagginses.
God damn it.
I'm turning into a dad. Help me.
Oh no. Is this what happens when you reach 30?
Yes, this is.
You have no idea what lies ahead for you, child.
I'm so scared.
And then Jaren asks, your voice is very recognizable. Did you ever think of becoming a voice actor? Actress? Or... Yeah,
I mean, I find voice acting really cool, and it's definitely something that I've been interested in. As I was kind of like thinking about what I want to do as a job for my life, it was kind of one of those things that is up there. But doing YouTube has made me realize that my voice is kind of... It's not that great for voice acting, to be honest, because I have this issue where my voice makes a lot of like clicking noises, and that's not a good thing for voice acting. So that's something I need to work on if I ever want to do that. But yeah, it's definitely something I've been thinking about.
But I mean, editing exists, right?
Yes, but people who hire voice actors don't want to sit there and edit your audio for 5 hours. I don't even want to do that with my own audio, so...
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jessica Colley asks, if you had the opportunity to reboot your main YouTube channel, would there be anything that you change?
Oh, absolutely. I think I would definitely put more effort into the character design of my mascot. Not that Chip doesn't have effort put into them, but I think I talked about this in a video once, that I put off starting my channel for a really long time because I couldn't come up with a character design. And then one day I was just like, okay, just gonna throw like ideas onto this image and just come up with something just so I can, start making. And that's how Chip came to be. So if I was able to reboot it, I would definitely kind of try to make a character design that was more, I don't know, more better. not that it's bad, but you know what I mean. And I would also, something I kind of wish I did from the start was make Chip more into a character. Like, I wish that I could give them like a unique voice, like a unique accent or something, and kind of like separate me from the character a bit more. I think that I like it when people do that. I feel like, yeah.
But do you think that like is it like when, say, you're being, obviously we only know you as Chip here, and we'll refer to you as that, for instance. Do you think that like you would be able to at some point sort of create a divide in essence between you and the character itself, or do you think that it's too late now?
I don't know. I mean, there is like already kind of a divide, like, there already is kind of a divide, but I don't know if it's possible to make it like a bigger of a divide, because the character is already like I said earlier, I speak through the character. I use my life stories to make these videos and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Okay. There's a question here from Jessica. No, sorry, Jaren and then Jessica. Jaren says, when you get 1,000 good comments and 1 bad criticism, how hard is it for you to ignore the 1 negative voice?
Definitely depends on what they are saying, because you guys probably get that a lot, but I get a lot of comments that just say like the word furry as if it's like an insult, but it doesn't really affect me because it's just a word. It's not even like saying like screw you furry. It's just the word furry. It's like, okay, that's fine.
Just that, straight up, like, oh. Is it like the, oh my goodness, that's the equivalent of like a 6-year-old walking up to you, pointing at you and going, person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, and peanut butter.
They think like pointing it out will somehow like offend me, but it doesn't. It's just a thing. It's kind of like saying like you're gay, and it's like, yeah, thanks for the observation.
I've been trying really hard.
Yeah. Like, how did you know?
But yeah, it definitely depends on what they're saying. Like some things will just like really get to me, even though there's like, it feels bad to say that like all of these really nice comments, and then there's this one bad one that like stands out even more. Like I know that it shouldn't get to me because there's so many people leaving really nice comments. But it just kind of does. That's kind of how the human brain works. Like, the bad things stand out to you more than the good things, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah. Go.
No, I'm done. I'm ready.
Scratch.
Yeah, we had a question a while ago here from Lucas. Where and how did you learn German?
Yeah, so when I moved here, I took an integration course that I paid for every month, and I basically did it to get the how languages have like levels. There's like A1, A2, B1, B2, etc. I did that to get the B1, which is like I don't know. I guess what you need to like
Conversation
survive. Yeah, but you need to survive in a country. Yeah, and
I mean,
since then I've sorry.
No, it's completely understood. I mean, you have to sort of know the native language in order to survive in the country. You can't sit there around every corner, like in a restaurant, like, fuck. You can't sit there sort of babbling and not understanding what you're trying to articulate to people.
I absolutely agree with that. Like, even though in Germany a lot of people do speak English, I still think it's important to familiarize yourself with the language, and that's why I wanted to, like, pay money to learn German.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and I finished that last year, and since then I've just been practicing by myself, talking to friends, watching TV and stuff. So yeah.
Congrats on finishing that.
Thanks.
Large amount of people saying that Chip is adorable, super cute.
Thanks.
The amount of effort you put into animation here. This is from Jessica again. Trace said that Chip is adorable, but just wanted to mention Trace. Hi, Trace. He's their very long time listener at this point. I think I don't actually think that they've missed a show.
Wow, awesome.
They've missed one or two, and then they actually apologized. It's like, it's your time. Do it. Use it as you want.
Mm-hmm.
But
you never give me that luxury.
I do. Shush. Back in your box, dude. Like, wow.
Sorry.
You've asked. I've said nothing but yes every time.
I know. I shouldn't have to ask. You need to know.
I can just imagine, like, Thursday. Like, there's absolutely no communication at all whatsoever. You just receive a message from me saying, I know, don't worry. You can have Sunday off.
Wow.
I wish I had that kind of ESP.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of, if you, Chipflake, could have a superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. The power to have an animate button on my computer so that I can make videos.
Just like whatever my brain is doing right now, put that onto the screen.
Yes, that would be amazing. Just project your thoughts onto the screen and record it. Oh my god.
I would hate that.
Well, you could do it like you choose to do it so it doesn't project the weird thoughts, if that's what you're implying.
It's not like Tourette's. You can turn it on and off.
I would have nothing but like David Firth-esque like videos.
Just like salad fingers running on a loop.
Yeah. Oh god. What's the word? Okay, that's interesting. Jaren is asking be a future topic videos. Me?
Well, it depends if something interesting happens.
Yeah.
Not that this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I meant like if my computer blows up or something, then I'll make a video like my computer blew up while I was on a podcast. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to say definitely yes or definitely no to like anything. There could always be a point where this random radio show that I was on once is really relevant to a video.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I would obviously, we would all actually understand that. In fact, it's a very similar approach to, and we mentioned this off air. We were speaking about people like, now I've forgotten them. Animated.
Who?
Similar to sort of the sort of style, like the whole kind of like changing of positions on the screen thing. The Odd Ones Out. it's a very similar answer to that. Like, yeah. So I mean, like, if something's interesting, then of course you're going to, mention it and talk about how it happened. But I mean, if it's not going to be like that super interesting, again, it's always about that, and it's going to lead directly into my next question. But it's always about like weighing up whether something's interesting enough to talk about, so that people can talk about what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I may
make a video in the future, like, I don't know, like, what I think about, like, doing podcasts and stuff, and it might be relevant, Yeah.
Totally understood.
Okay. That's actually an interesting question. Galax is asking, what has led to your cooperation or your sort of cooperation? Is it co-op? No, it's not co-op.
Yeah, cooperation.
Cooperation with Two Furry Bros and Blue. What has led to that sort of partnership would be the word. Bloody
collaboration.
Collaboration.
Yes. So Fufi from Two Furry Bros just messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you want to come do a video with me?" Basically. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching their videos for a while, and we followed each other on Twitter and stuff. And one day he was just like, "Hey, you want to do a video?" And I was like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, I mean, and it seems easy, but oddly enough, there's I'm assuming maybe I'm being odd about this, but there seems to be sort of this and it does have to do with that sort of follower question that sort of leading up to in some sense.
You're cutting out a little bit. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, there's some unwritten
There's some sort of unwritten rule that has to do with the idea that follower counts are extremely important to YouTubers. That it's very sort of difficult to get somebody who has X amount of viewers. It has to. I'm assuming the idea of, like, time versus obligation in many senses, that if it's not up at this point, I'm not going to necessarily care about it. But it's not to say that you don't care about the people who are asking. It's more to say about the idea that it's very difficult to invest that amount of time into something that you're not necessarily going to benefit from. And we, once again, thank you very, very much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, it's okay. don't make it seem like, I'm doing you a favor or something.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, you're right. Like, it's quite sad, because you do have to, like, reject some people, like collaborations and things like that, just because you, like you said, you don't have time. It's like, I would love to respond to all of the nice comments that I get on my videos, but I don't have time for that, unfortunately. It's quite sad in that regard. But yeah, I mean, YouTube is a business, unfortunately. So.
And some people make their YouTube business by being, essentially, drama watching it.
Oof, yeah.
Because there's some drama on YouTube, and people make money off of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can make money off of anything if you really put your mind to it, I guess.
Fair point.
Jaren does ask, and sort of connects to what we're talking about now, is... Okay. Oh, yes. Is positive interesting more interesting than negative interesting? Or is drama?
So you cut out halfway there. Just say that. Repeat that again, Ivik.
Okay. Is it better to be positive and interesting, or negative and interesting? Or is drama more profitable?
I mean, well, drama is definitely profitable for a lot of people, because people want to, like, know what's going on. They find this stuff interesting. They want to be in the loop, basically. But in terms of my channel, you can definitely see the. I mean, I never make videos that are like dissing on people and like putting people down or something, but I do make videos that have kind of a negative connotation to them. Like I said earlier, the whole I hate series, like complaining about things in like a funny way. People find that like entertaining. I know like me personally, I find it entertaining when people like rant about like a movie they don't like or something like that. It's like funny to me, you know. But I think from my channel, it's kind of a mix. I don't think people like exclusively watch the negative videos, because a lot of my more positive videos are also pretty popular, which is pretty cool. I think it all depends on how entertaining you can be with it.
Yeah. I mean, and negative sort of seems to be the default, that like people are like, oh, cool, they're, you know, throwing this and throwing that and shade and everything. It's that entirety of the, like, the clapback, probably be the term. There's a mentality around it.
Backlash, the what?
Backlash? No, clapback. Like somebody says something about you, and that sort of clever little, you know, haha, but.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And it's snippy, it's easy, it's quick, it requires very little thought, and you get an entire room to go, you know, that kind of thing. That was a lot deeper than I wanted it to be. But yeah, the videos are now. All right, so Lucas is actually asking, Chip, why is your most used word in this?
I don't know. I just think it's funny to say "oof" the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe it's also a context thing. Oof is generally it's also based around. I think it started on Twitch, if I'm not mistaken, where it was just sort of like, you know, that's either a difficult question, it's a difficult situation, or you got clapped.
Yeah.
Clapped backed. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, one of those, Jaranos says, one of those expressions, what is your craziest school experience, Lenny?
I don't know, probably the video where I made about getting Google banned from my school.
Mm-hmm.
It was just pretty not that crazy, to be honest. I've not had that many crazy experiences in school, to be honest. I was always kind of like the quiet kid who stayed out of everyone's way, so not a lot happened in my school years.
And then Jessica is asking, would you ever do a video that shows your current animation process?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been planning to do that for a really long time, but as you may know, I've changed my animation process every time, like every couple of months. So it's like, oh, I'll make this video next. Then I'm like, oh wait, I want to change this. And then I'm like, oh, well now I'll do the video and change it again. So like the process, like it's not just that I'm drawing it differently. The whole process of how I make it is different. Like sometimes I use a completely different program, and sometimes I'm like animating it completely different. So it's pretty hard. But yeah, I would definitely like to make a video like that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, do you think that it would be better suited for a different, what's the word? A different show, a different something, maybe more sort of a behind the scenes or behind the Chipflake?
Yes. Okay. I do have plans to make something like that, and it would probably not go on my main channel because, I want to keep my main channel like animation focused.
Yeah. Where do you want to grow to?
You mean like subscriber count or?
Subscriber count, where do you want to end up? Do you have like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan?
Oof, no. I'm pretty bad at planning. I don't know. I've kind of like already achieved the goal that I wanted for YouTube, and now I guess my plan is just to keep going for as long as like works for me, as long as I enjoy it still. If it like it ever stops like being enjoyable for me to like change up the formula and stuff like that, kind of try something new. Yeah.
Okay, and then Kat asks, how do you get more subscribers on your? Are there like secret formulas to this? Granted, maybe we'd also like to know. Then again, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I mean, like, is there anything currently doing that you know is a good fix to get more subscribers?
Well, I mean, I can only speak from my own personal perspective. A lot of people get subscribers in like completely different ways. They do like completely different genres of content and all that. But I would say generally the main couple rules you should follow is to like first of all make high quality content, you know, good content, something that people are going to be interested in watching. And you should definitely stay consistent. Like when people go onto their channel, they want to see like, oh, this person makes, you know, animations, this person does speed paints, this person plays video games and that kind of thing. They don't want to see like, oh, there's a vlog, there's a tutorial, there's a speed paint. I don't know what this person does. I'm not going to subscribe, you know. So yeah, stay consistent. Yeah, just staying consistent, making videos that people are interested in, and keep doing it consistently. Like, you know, uploading pretty regularly is very good. When you take like really big breaks, it's not so good for your channel.
What was the longest break that you've taken? And firstly, we'll start there. What was the longest break that you've taken?
I honestly don't know. Probably back when I was in college. Towards the end of the year, things were going pretty bad, and I was like really doing like all my final projects and stuff. Had like no time for anything. I don't know how long that was though. Maybe like a couple months.
Sure. Yikes.
Yeah, big oof.
Big oof. And then Jaren is asking, if you were rich, would you actually hire an animator? Would you rather like to be sort of at the helm of your own projects?
Yeah, that's the thing. I have kind of an issue with letting other people do my work for me, I guess. I think it's a mix of me being bad at like telling people exactly what I want and just I don't know. I have a very like I always have very specific visions of what I want it to look like or be like, and I find it hard to trust other people to do that for me. Not that like other people are bad or anything, and getting help is bad or something. But that's just like a personal issue that makes it kind of hard to be a YouTuber, because at some point you kind of have to like get help with it. But you know,
I mean, it's irrespective of how long YouTube's been around, it's still kind of like the Wild West, in that some people know what they're doing, some people know what they're doing, but never have the kind of viewerships or anything like that. They just continue trucking, and you've got people, you know, don't know what they're doing, and somehow, for some reason, they're doing the right things. It's
yeah.
But that would be like trying to do, you know, I'm going to assume that you'd have to do a sociology course, majors in sociology with linguistics, with, I don't know, marketing, and to be able to first understand who you're speaking to, then why you'd want to speak to them in the first place.
Well, even then, it's such a black box, like what the internet likes and doesn't like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like one day Pepe the Frog is funny, and the next he's a hate symbol. Like one day Vines are a thing, and then the entire website just goes dark.
Yeah,
it's like the internet changes faster than any kind of literature or written work or study on the thing can even keep up.
And speaking of, is it difficult to I guess keep up with? I mean, it's not to say that I think your channel is in any way sort of like dedicated to current trends. It's literally just dedicated to Chipflake. But like, do you feel that makes does that water down the kind of interactions that could have?
I mean, I guess so. There's definitely like kinds of content and videos that I've thought about doing that I've thought like, I can't do that because that wouldn't fit for my channel,
Yeah.
And there's always kind of this fear that like, people are going to stop caring about animation again, like in a year or something like that. It's kind of like, oh, what am I going to do then? Or like, is that even going to happen at all?
And because of YouTube's algorithm, I think it's like it must be difficult to use animation to do these sort of long form videos, like, because that's the only way you could actually like push the algorithm in your favor if you're trying to actively monetize something, is to like long form videos, 10 minutes or more kind of thing. But animation is so slow, you can't do that on a regular basis, or at least like full on animation. I'm talking like sort of 20 frames a second, hand cranked animation. Like, you can't do that anymore. So I think a lot of sort of animation YouTubers have resorted to the whole, what do they call it? Stop motion infographics.
Sprites.
Yeah, like,
isn't it?
Stop motion something moving, motion graphics. That's the word. The motion graphic style of animations, which definitely seems to work. I mean, like, you could still get enough like personality and character through in those, like in the frames and that are put in there for sure.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
I actually read that, so I've got an idea as to what it says.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, how would you get your YouTube channel? Okay, never mind. How would you tag your sort of channel as well as videos? Particular way that you do that are particular tags that are mandatory.
I don't think there are any mandatory tags. The thing with tags is, it's interesting because there's a YouTube channel dedicated to where YouTube kind of talks about like news about the platform and all that sort of stuff, and tries to give you advice on stuff like tags. And they recently made a video that said that tags don't affect how your channel shows up in search and discovery, like the recommended and stuff. They said that it's
stop
basically
tagging our shit, just because it's always different.
Yeah, that's the thing. They said that you basically use tags for things like misspellings of your name, so that people can find it when they like search for like Chipflake, for example, by accident. They still find me because of the tags, but they're not actually related to recommended.
Or like Markiplier.
Never happened. Markiplier.
Which is interesting. It's interesting though, because I actually once forgot to add tags to my video, and it was totally fine and recommended and stuff. So don't worry about tags anymore, I guess. I think your like keywords, like things like animation and stuff, needs to kind of be in the titles and your descriptions, but tags seem to not really be as important anymore as they used to.
Yeah. Jessica asks, if YouTube ever shut down, not that it's going to, what would you do for an income?
So my plan, if YouTube decides to shut down randomly one day, is probably to move on to freelance artwork, like doing commissions and that sort of thing. Maybe I could move to a different platform. But if we're talking like what kind of job I would want to do instead of if YouTube didn't work out, I've always kind of wanted to direct and create music videos. When you listen to a song and you kind of have like this music video playing in your head of what you would imagine that to be. That's kind of like a second dream job of mine.
Okay. It was, what was it, Creator Academy, Jessica's mentioning. the YouTube channel that you were talking about that helps with.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's
Okay.
called.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the link, Jessica.
Thank you for the link. Yes. Sure. Going to have a couple more of those eventually. Then we'll continue with the conversation. But yep, there's one more.
What's up?
Yeah.
No, I was asking you. What's up?
Oh, nothing. I'm slightly distracted by thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Same.
So, when it comes to this idea, and again, like of celebrity, for instance, and the community that you're with, do you ever feel? Because this is something that I've actually a lot with a large amount of people who sort of, I guess, and this is in quotation marks, made it. Have you ever found that the community, depending on the presenter themselves, technically leading their, I guess, the person that they're following into a particular direction? Have you ever felt almost led to ask particular questions, be able to sort of like attack a particular topic because of the followership that you have? Or do you think that it's a completely sort of, it's your project still, and bugger the people who are listening to you? I know that I'm being very harsh, but I mean, it's to an extent, it's kind of how it is.
Yeah, how much? I think the sort of the takeaway there is like how much do the fans help create the content, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your question, Epic?
Yes.
Don't die.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you do definitely have to take the fans into account because, you know, it's a business thing. You don't want to like alienate your audience and that sort of thing. But you also can never please everybody, and you always have to keep that in mind when somebody says, you know, hey, that joke wasn't very funny, or hey, you should animate this way instead. This way is bad. You kind of have to be like, no, I disagree with that. I should do it like this because this works the best for me, kind of thing. It's definitely kind of hard to find that balance sometimes. Like I kind of talked about in a recent video about how I keep improving my characters, and I have to kind of like, I feel this need to like impress people with how my designs look, even though a large majority of people are like totally fine with like the basic ones. They find them cool, you know. So yeah, you definitely kind of have to find that balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you can't have people dictating what your channel is all about, especially if it's something that's so intense as creating animations. Like a quick vlog answering some questions, fine, but that's not what your channel is about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and it is kind of weird how, I don't know, it seems like YouTube is working the same that life in many senses did. I mean, one year in the 1970s, bell bottoms were in, and then they went away for like 20 years, and suddenly bell bottoms became a thing again. And it's just that it's almost the same thing on YouTube, but faster. Do you find that sort of fast movement of ideology, perspective, is it easy to sort of keep track of that? Do you feel like you're spending a large amount of time doing research on what people would like to hear more than you are actually making content based on what you would like to hear?
I mean, I guess I'm kind of lucky in that regard because my videos aren't really based on current events and kinds of thing. People are pretty happy to just sit and like listen to me talk about this thing that happened to me like 10 years ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking in terms of like genres and stuff, like I said earlier, it's pretty scary to think about like one day animation could just like not be interesting anymore. and you always have to kind of look out for the signs, like, are my views dropping, or like other people in the genre also dropping? Should I change things up?
Yeah. Speaking of, if you sort of do happen to have like, let's call it a less than stellar viewership on a particular video, do you sort of sit and sort of angst about the entire idea as to why this one got this much and why that one like double the amount of views? I'm kind of looking at some of these, for instance. Like why would that matter in the end of the day? I mean, like when we're looking at say 174,000 viewers, you're kind of sitting down going like, that fills a stadium and like, granted, yes, I mean the monetary sort of value in and of itself is still an issue, but I mean, what exactly would the takeaway be from a video that 74 versus 573?
You cut out a little bit on the end there.
Okay. 174 viewers versus 573. What exactly is the amount of money difference between them? Like, I'm pretty sure that many people would like to know what exactly that monetary value difference.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely base my upload schedule and things like that on like how much I need to live off the month. So usually 2 videos a month that both get over 100,000 views will be enough for me to live off for that month. So if something dips below that, that's a bit like yikes. Usually I'll still be fine, but I do kind of have to be aware of that.
I mean, and just speaking of like the verified logo next to your name, of course, what is the advantage of being verified on YouTube?
Honestly, it's kind of just like this is your official channel, basically. If somebody makes a profile called Chipflake, uses my profile picture and stuff, most people will be able to recognize that's not me because they don't have a verified thing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the only real benefit of it, as far as I know.
Is there a specific thing that you need to do to be verified?
All you need to do is be over 100,000 subscribers, and I believe you have to not have like copyright strikes or anything on your channel.
How many subs do we have?
Like not 20? As much as that. At 20, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I kid.
Yeah. But I mean, it's firstly, thank you for all of the answers so far. It's actually been really, really informative to us as well as to our listeners. I mean, when it comes to the idea of scheduling particular things, I mean, you've spoken about this in your own videos, obviously, but like this idea of scheduling for this, that, and the other thing, like, does it get easier as time progresses? I mean, obviously, you're constantly changing a whole bunch of things, but I mean, do those sort of incremental changes sort of just become just a little bit easier as you carry on through the work that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely learning a lot as I go along. Because at first, having this one video every 2 weeks schedule was, I made it a lot harder for myself by changing up my art style. Because I added like an extra 3 days of work to what was already pretty tight schedule. In the beginning, that was like really bad for me, and I missed my my due date quite often. But as I've like continued doing it and like learned how to like, I'll work on this day for this many hours and then I'll be done. And if I didn't get it done, then I'll just add that time onto somewhere else. Yeah, it definitely gets a lot easier as you go along. You learn your own like limits and working hours and how long it takes you to do this kind of thing,
Yeah. I mean, sort of like catching on to that idea, because as you're not necessarily working for a boss, you are working for yourself as your own this. How do you find, because, and like, what's the word? So most companies, for instance, have things like, what would you say, like little sort of social gatherings to sort of like speak amongst one another, to let off steam. I've mentioned to my sort of manager currently that I would like to have a China breaking sort of meetup where we literally just get together, we just break plates for a while to get rid of frustration.
That's cool.
How do you get rid of frustration?
I don't know, really. Probably. I mean, I don't like break china plates or anything because I need those to eat on.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. It just
meditation,
so,
screaming at the walls.
Yeah.
None of that.
Punching pillows.
Oh yeah, punching pillows, definitely.
Just eating a cereal straight out of the bag.
Oh hell yeah! Food helps me so much. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. Actually, yeah, it's a bad thing, but
Everything in moderation, including restraining frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica,
including moderation.
Haha. Jessica's asking, do you have any advice for hiring YouTube content creators?
I suppose just the things that I said earlier about like uploading good content consistently, regularly. Those are like the three main things you kind of want to focus on. For like aspiring people, definitely to just do it. Like just start. As soon as you start, it'll get a lot easier. I know for me and a lot of people, you sit on this idea for freaking ages. You never get anything done. So sometimes you really just have to do it. Like you think like, oh, I need to wait until I'm good enough to start it. But no, you don't. You need to start. And by making it, that's how you get to this good part that you want to be at. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice for aspiring YouTubers, to just do it, just start.
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously there are YouTube channels many people might sometimes call, I guess, sellout channels. Not necessarily selling out, but the thing is that at the end of the day, they have particular sponsors and things like that. Is there either a particular sponsor that you would like to sort of have as a sponsor? Or, are there other ways to get sort of what is necessary to ensure that your channel is continuing to?
I started cutting out again at the end there. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Is there okay, so first half was, I forgot. That's okay.
About sponsors.
Yes. Is there a particular sponsor that you would like to have? Or what exactly is the fuzz? What is the modus operandi for attempting to get a sponsor for a particular sort of video? Like how does that entail?
So for the first question, I can't say any like company specifically, but I always want to. I mean, I haven't been sponsored yet so far. That's because I want to find companies that like fit my channel and my audience. I haven't really gotten a lot of those yet. Oh, and also aren't like scummy companies, and also like pay you appropriately,
Fair enough.
And so I guess I would like the most would be like, I guess, like art suppliers, like programs like Adobe, things like that would be like perfect. The kinds of sponsors that I would like grab immediately.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. Mm-hmm. Go.
Okay. I have gotten requests for sponsors before, but I've kind of been like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people would like there's this whole stigma about sponsors, as you mentioned before. People think you're like selling out and stuff, and they get kind of like upset at you, and it can affect your views as well. So I'm like really quite anxious about taking on sponsors that aren't like perfect, you know, even though like honestly like I feel like I'm like too anxious about it, but there's a lot of sponsorships I've rejected because I feel like people won't like that, you know.
Because I mean, obviously, as soon as you enter, there's an obligation to sell the thing that they want you to sell. I mean, for instance, amongst men, it's beard oil. Apparently, oddly
or
enough,
Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah.
or Dollar Shave Club. Those particular things, and that's seen like very many, if not any, like maybe it's just the content that I'm watching, but like sort of, I guess, other people orientated things. As far as I know, it's Dollar Shave Club. This is a football game. These are the gaming things that you can also sell. Oh, look, here's the Razer mouse for this and this and this.
Then there's also Squarespace.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. And hey, this is a business, and we're going to turn you into a business, kind of thing. It's kind of awkward, isn't it? That I mean, firstly, there's not necessarily much orientation towards anybody other than men within the community itself. Just straight up business.
Or maybe you're just watching too many male-oriented channels. Oh snap!
Oh snap! It is problematic, but then again, like, show me other ones. Show me something. Obviously, I've found exactly the one I want to watch as much as I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are ones that are more universal, like you said, like Skillshare, things like that. But I think I think the problem is that a lot of companies don't market to, like, I guess younger audiences. I would say they always market themselves to like these adults, you know, usually male people, because I guess they feel like those people are more likely to buy their stuff. Whereas a kid, you know, doesn't have money, they're gonna have to like ask their parents for it and stuff. And maybe they feel like YouTube is not the best place to market something like that. Yeah, it's definitely hard to find sponsors that suits the animation genre and my type of content.
Speaking of content and
content and advertising.
And advertising and merchandising. There are people here who are asking about whether you have any merch yourself, like, you know, plushies, things like that.
Or whether that's something we could look forward to perhaps in the future.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's in the works, and the reason it's taking its selling is because I want it to be really, really good, really freaking perfect. You know, I have I don't want to like talk bad about anyone, but I have a lot of issues about how most people deal with their merch. I feel like they kind of just stick their design up on like Spreadshirt or something and it's done. The problem with, I mean, like Spreadshirt is really good. You can just like order something and get it sent to you, and it's like really easy and quick and pretty cheap. But, you know, it's cheap. It's not such good quality, and I don't personally like that. I want my like shirts, for example, to be like good material. I want the print to look really nice, and I want the prices to be reasonable. So yeah, that kind of thing definitely takes a lot of time, but I'm working on it, and it should happen soon.
That's really good stuff.
I'm glad that people are like excited for it. That makes me very happy.
Jaren gives the image of saying something line, imagine pink Chipflake.
Come again?
You
were breaking up again?
You cut out a lot.
You were like,
yay! I didn't really want...
Okay, cool. So let's leave it there then.
Okay.
Do you ever get lost in your own perfectionism?
Lost? I mean,
like does perfectionism, like sitting there sort of minding the minutia too much? Does that eat up too much of your time, kind of thing? Because I know sometimes I definitely, like back when I used to draw, at least I would like spend way too much time stressing the smaller details, whereas as opposed to going like, okay, done, put it online.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when I made the new animations for my channel recently, I estimated that I could do it all in one day, and it ended up taking 3 days because I was like, trying so hard to make it perfect. And even though I spent so much time on it, I still don't see it as perfect, and I still want to put more work into it. So yeah, definitely, perfectionism is a big problem that I'm still trying to overcome.
All right. We've got about 10 minutes left. This is generally the time that we want to ask about like specific things that you want to plug. For instance, are there particular sort of upcoming projects that you're working on? Obviously, your product line will eventually come forward, but I mean, like, is there anything that you currently are working on that every listener should look out for?
Just more videos, really. And I've recently acquired a tablet so that I can draw more in my free time. So if you follow me on Instagram, also called Chipflake, I should be posting more digital artwork there soon.
If you could throw us a link, the chat, and then people who make it as well.
Yeah, we'll find the Twitter link. Don't worry.
Not the Twitter link. The other link.
Instagram.
Instagram. Yes.
Oh, the gram. I forgot.
Hashtag 31.
I think it's just Instagram.com/Chipflake.
Okay. Cool.
I think.
And
Trace
has
a question.
To answer your question, Trace, yes, I used to. Like, I did in high school, but then university rolled around and it just ate up way too much of my time, and I kind of just stopped unceremoniously.
Yeah, you were an engineer. At the end of the day,
I had so little free time on my hands, dude.
You had total free time?
I had
so little. That's what.
Yeah, I had so little free time on my hand. I wish I had total free time. It's just like, oh sweet, I don't have to do jack.
Quit your job. No, don't. Any final thoughts for people who are either aspiring to, either restart YouTube channels, people attempting to sort of get into the game, maybe even for people who want to get out of the game?
I mean, I feel like I've given some pretty much all the advice I could give throughout the podcast. Yeah, I guess I would just say if you're aspiring to do YouTube as a job or just as a hobby or anything, just keep doing it, keep it up. I'm proud of you. You can do it. I believe in you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I think
that's about as good a place as any to wrap up.
Yeah.
If there are any final questions, do get them in with the next minute or so. I know that we technically have about wait, hold on. You have. I'm gonna have to type this out, and maybe this will do this thing that I needed to do. That is definitely not what I wanted to do. I should not speak while typing at the same time.
Then slow it down. Let's not do ASMR voice things.
Oh, but I mean, you know what? It's still an untapped market. I think that like male ASMR should definitely be a thing.
No.
Yes.
Do you think it's not a thing? It's definitely a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But is it as popular?
Some people really like the sounds of people combing their beards.
Wow. Wait. I'm not even asking. Okay, cool. So I know what I'm going to be doing the next 2 weeks.
You're not plugging your own ASMR channel on this show. Just saying.
I don't have an ASMR. Tune in next week.
For something completely ASMR unrelated.
Yeah, I need to grow my beard more for the beard. That. Jessica Colley says thank you for the podcast and spending some time with us. We really do appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah. And Chip, thank you so much for coming on. This was really,
of course.
Yeah, it was really good having you and hearing all your sage advice from the YouTube salt mines.
Salt mines.
It feels like a salt mine sometimes, or at least from the outside. A salt mine with a lot of drama.
Yeah. Salt mine with a lot of salt.
And salt, of course.
Yeah. Huh.
I thought that was league, like league ranks.
No, ranked is nothing to like. If you had to compare the two, I think league ranked is talk.
Is league ranked not salty?
Yeah, it is salty, but I mean, it's definitely not YouTube salt.
Okay, fine.
Huh.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people who have been listening saying thank you for the podcast. Oh, so for that reminder, just for those of you who are going to be with us for the next couple of hours, I'm going to be running the radio show directly after this with some wonderful metal music. I know that we didn't get round to actually speaking about your other shows in depth, but we'll hopefully maybe sometime in the future we might actually do get around to something like that. But thank you very much, Chipflake, for joining us. We really do appreciate you being here on the show with us. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really like the format of having people ask questions and talking about things live. It's really cool. So thank you for inviting me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And and you were a very good guest. We really enjoyed chatting with you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, cool. So with that, Ivik's music show is in about like 15-20 minutes from now.
Yeah, something around about.
Okay, and then we shall see you, good folks, listeners, again next week, perhaps. Yes? No?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll
definitely maybe.
It all depends on. Definitely maybe with a side. There's a slight chance of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe next week, otherwise the week after. But there will be music.
There will be music.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
See you guys next week. Maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Bye-bye.